Good evening. The April 12th, 2022 board meeting is now in order. I'm happy to welcome my fellow board members and the public. This is a business meeting of the board held in the public. As such, the board is authorized to adopt rules or policies to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in a public meeting. Please note that your presence here is subject to those rules and policies. Pursuant to Florida Statute 877.13, it is unlawful and a misdemeanor of the second degree punishable by up to 60 days in jail and a $50 fine for any person knowingly to disrupt or interfere with the lawful administration or functions of any educational institution or school board, or knowingly to advise, counsel, or instruct any school pupil or school employee to disrupt any school or school board function or activity on school board property. To facilitate board business, please be aware of the following. If you must leave the building for any reason, you will not be permitted to re-enter. The appropriate place for public participation in the meeting is during your individual public comment opportunity as identified in the agenda. Outside of your individual public comment opportunity, your role in the meeting is as an observer. I will ask persons deemed to be knowingly or intentionally disrupting this meeting of the School Board of Brevard County or not complying with policy to stop or leave. If persons receiving the warning choose not to follow my instructions, I will instruct Brevard County Sheriff's deputies to take any law enforcement action they deem appropriate, and you may be escorted, detained, or arrested depending on the conduct. Persons who refuse to depart after a warning may also be committing the crime of trespassing in accordance with Florida Statute Section 810.05. These statutes apply to conduct on all school board property, which includes this boardroom, as well as the outside of this building to the sidewalk. If you continue to cause a disruption, you are advised that you are in violation of Florida State Statute 877.13, or if you fail to leave the premises after being warned by the Sheriff's Office, you are committing trespass, and the board has authorized the Sheriff's Office to enforce these rules. In the event multiple individuals fail to adhere to these expectations and board business cannot continue due to disruption, I will call a recess and request that the law enforcement officers present clear the boardroom of attendees. When the room is cleared, the board will return and resume their meeting with no public present. Those who are signed up to speak will be seated under the front entry area and called in when it is your time to speak. Mr. Gibbs, roll call, please.
Ms. Belford.
Present.
Ms. McDougall.
Present.
Ms. Jenkins.
Present.
Ms. Campbell.
Present.
Mr. Susan.
The board will now hold a moment of silent reflection in memory of two BPS family members, Elizabeth Rosado and Melanie Sheffield, who recently passed away. Ms. Rosado was a bus driver for Mid-South Transportation, and Ms. Sheffield was a VPK IA at Riviera Elementary. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we are at the board superintendent recognition portion of the agenda. Tonight, I'm going to begin with Dr. Mullins, who has some exciting news to share. Dr. Mullins.
Good evening. Thank you, Mrs. Belford, and welcome this evening. We have a full house, and it's an exciting evening as we recognize some amazing scholars and their accomplishments. I am extremely honored and proud to present this evening's recognition in honor of our Brevard Public Schools academic team, Team Brevard. And for those of you who are not familiar with the academic team, it's actually an academic trivia competition. It's literally Jeopardy on steroids. Alex Trebek would be proud. Our students compete against first among students in Brevard, but then across the state, and they buzz in their answers to questions. So the subjects involved are English, which include grammar and literature, mathematics, all levels from algebra to differential equations, biology, chemistry, physics, all areas and subjects of social studies, the arts, culture, music history, music theory, world languages, and humanities. And as such, it is not just about academic intelligence. It requires the students to have an extremely fast academic recall memory, as well as the confidence to respond quickly and accurately. You should see them at the tables. I pride myself as a math teacher. I could do myself a little bit of calculus back in the day. These kids would blow me away on my best day. So this group of phenomenal students that we have here this evening were absolutely phenomenal at state competition. They began their academic team journey competing for first their individual schools. Some schools even had in-house scrimmages where the academic team of students would compete against teachers and administration. I heard that the students actually were kind of shown up by the academic fact. Oh, no. Someone at the table said usually the teachers win. Oh, you shut them down. That's right. Edgewood's faculty team was called the Jedi Masters, right? Yeah, the Padawans took the night. Oh, okay. Well, your JV team has a lot to aspire to, for sure. So, Brevard's district final academic team was absolutely amazing. I got to see them in action as they were competing for district recognition, and our group of 8 students earned a place on Team Brevard, and then they progressed to the state academic tournament where they were a force. And I heard that you competed so well in the first round that you got a bye for the next couple competition. They earned their place in the semifinal match, which led them to the final round for state competition. So Team Brevard demonstrated intellectual precision as well as patience as they competed against students from across the state of Florida. After 8 practice sessions total and 7 district matches, including the final, Team Brevard placed first in the state with a total 262 points in front of Manatee, Polk, Orange, Pinellas, and Seminole counties. And these extraordinary students worked so amazingly together as they became a family, and we got to hang out with them for a little while before the board meeting, and the camaraderie and the friendship and the celebration so these students represent multiple schools. Let me introduce them. So when I call your name, would you please stand up so we can all recognize you? First, Jack Baptiste from West Shore, known for his knowledge of history and humanities. Is Jack here? Okay. Jack, we hope you're watching out there. Congratulations. Let's give him a round of applause. And Phoenix Boggs from Edgewood, also Edgewood, and known for her specialty in linguistics. And next we have Nikhil Iyer. Did I get your first name right? Okay. From Edgewood, and he is known for his understanding in math, science, computer science, and music theory. And I think you're going to UF to study computer science. Did I get that right? All right. Congratulations. I should have noted that Phoenix is planning to go to Yale. Did I get that right? Awesome. Tommy Tibbetts from Cocoa Beach, known for his specialty in English and literature. Congratulations, Tommy. And next we have Giancarlo Valdivia. Did I do okay? You're being very kind, I can tell. From Holy Trinity, known for his knowledge in math, music, and Spanish. Congratulations. We have John Wang from Edgewood, known for his mastery in math, art, literature, and psychology. Congratulations. And Abby Shepard, there she is, Team Brevard Student Observer Manager, also from Edgewood, who excelled in the humanities as well as biology. Congratulations, Abby. And we also have Nate Horton, Team Brevard's alternate, who attended every Team Brevard practice from Cocoa Beach, who soared in math and chemistry. Congratulations. So before I introduce their amazing coaches, I just want to put into context the accomplishment. So if you're having a hard time seeing me around the big trophy, that's because this is the trophy they brought home to Brevard from the competition. They received a cash award. They also will receive state championship rings for accomplishing it. And you can tell that they are all well on their way to great accomplishments after high school. We are so very proud of you. Thank you for representing your schools as well as our community with the excellence that we strive for, and we're so very proud of you. So now it goes without saying that these students couldn't do what they have done without amazing coaches who provided guidance and support every step of the way. And the students from Team Brevard will tell you that this recognition could not be possible without their phenomenal teachers. So would you please join me in recognizing Mr. Sean Johnston? Mr. Johnston is from Edgewood Junior Senior High, and Mr. Mike Prince from Cocoa Beach. And Mr. Prince confirmed that Brevard has not won a state academic team championship since 2009. Is that right? And were you a coach for the academic team back then? Look at that. We got a two-time champion in the house. So, coaches, thank you for the extra time and effort and your commitment to serve and support our kids and help them find their way to this amazing place. We appreciate you, and we know that they couldn't have gotten to where they did without your continued support along the way. And to all of our coaches at our other high schools who worked with our kids along the way, we are so grateful for all of your hard work and investment in Brevard's future. So congratulations again. I want to give a moment. Phoenix is going to come up. I put her on the spot. She's going to say a few words, and then we're going to have photo op. So Phoenix, it's all yours.
Yep.
You can speak right there.
Okay. So I and the team really wanted to just say a few words in appreciation of all of the support that we've received on behalf of the district. I think that, and we all know that without the support of the district, providing us a circuit in which to compete to hone our skills within the Brevard system, also providing us with space to practice, providing us with financial support that we needed in order to actually go to this competition, made an absolute world of difference. And we know that this championship, and also that all of our other individual accomplishments that we've achieved throughout this academic team journey absolutely would not have been possible without all of your support. So we deeply thank you guys. And we actually put those words into a letter that we all signed. So I don't know where to put this, but we just really want to express our appreciation for all the support that we've received.
Well, you're welcome, and this is the best parts of the job for sure. So before we have our winning team come up and for a picture, I also want to take this moment to recognize amazing leadership, because we know it's leadership in our schools that empower our teachers to do what they do, and it sets the culture, the bar of expectation and excellence across the entire school to set students up for success like this. First, Miss Jackie Ingrata, the principal of Edgewood Junior Senior High. Come on, Miss Ingrata, you got to stand up. And Dr. Mark Rendell, principal of Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High. And so I'd invite the board to come out front for a picture with our championship team. And then in a moment, we'll have parents come up and join for a photo op. But principals, can we have you as well, please?
5 and 10.
I noticed that you got on to the meeting. Use it.
No? Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, congratulations. So, Madam Chair, if I may ask for one more point of privilege to, I know, I got to get in front of Mr. Susan, who knows how many recognitions he'll have. I do have a community member I'd like to recognize this evening that is no stranger to Brevard Public Schools. But I'd like to recognize Dr. Michael Kador and his amazing bride, Cornelia, who are in the audience this evening. And for the second year now, Dr. Kador and his wife are no stranger to Brevard Public Schools, and certainly no strangers in our community. Before I make note of what we're recognizing this evening, Mike has been instrumental in bringing a scholarship program opportunity to Brevard that has, over the last, 6 years, given access, opportunity, exposure, introduction to scholarship opportunities to now probably thousands of our juniors and seniors in high school. I'm going to go off the top of my head because I didn't get my notes out from when we recognized it, but I want to say cumulatively over $12 million of scholarships, that somewhere in the right neighborhood, that have come to Brevard, to our students, as a result of Dr. Kador and his commitment to make sure that our kids have access and opportunity to scholarships. So we recognized you when you weren't here that evening, when you were actually at Rockledge High School, letting that happen. And but this evening, Dr. Kador and his wife generously raised and are now donating money for our students in transition. These are our students, more than we ever wish there were, but I would suggest a higher number than you would be surprised to hear, who live in homelessness, and they are making a $500 donation to supporting our students in transition again for the second year. So, Dr. Kador, would you like to come to the podium for a moment and say a few words?
Good evening, and thank you so much, Dr. Mullins, and to the other council members. Thank you guys so much for all that you do within our community. I see you, Misty. How you doing? But I have with me, come stand next to me. This is not my queen. This is my queen sitting here, Cornelia Kador, but this is also my brother. And back in February, a young lady by the name of Beverly Hamilton, who works for Kennedy Middle School, had reached out about her kids wanted to be able to do some poetry and some singing in a local area for Black History Month. And I said I would try to make that possible for her. And it spread it. And basically it spread it to an event called Lift Every Voice and Sing, which was held at the Rockledge Civic Hub for the very, very first time. Once the word got out, additional schools came on board. Rockledge High School brought out some singers, Kennedy Middle School, McNair, Emma Joel, and then two of our places of worship, Faith Temple Christian Center where I attend, and one of our local Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They all came out, and these amazing kids were singing in the Civic Hub and dancing. It was absolutely amazing. The word got out even more, and I think it's duly important to note that State Farm, they gave, the Community Credit Union, which is part of our sponsors here for Brevard Public Schools as well, Eastern Florida State College, of course the city of Rockledge, and Brevard Public Schools came together, and I think in closing, food trucks came and then stated, we want to give. So at that point, we said, okay, all the money that's coming in, we're going to give to two organizations to be able to help our children. So we gave a portion to Eastern Florida State College, where my wife and I have started a scholarship foundation there. and I also have my amazing brother here, who is the president of Train to Succeed, and I'll let him just share about Train to Succeed, and that's why we're here tonight, to give a donation of $500 to our students in transition. Carl?
Hello and good evening. My name is Carl Putman. I'm the president for Train to Succeed. It's a nonprofit I started along with Mike's help in Cornelia, just to provide different training resources for students all throughout the county. I'm a Brevard County native my entire life, and I wanted to do something to try to give back. So I'm very blessed with this opportunity and all the folks who supported us to give to our students in transition. So thank you, and I'm very excited to be able to present this to the school board tonight.
Him. Look like he wants the money. We give him.
Make sure it's on camera.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mullins. All kinds of great stuff starting off our meeting this evening. I appreciate it. And thank you, Dr. Kador and crew, and congratulations to all of our students. We are now going to allow my fellow board members to do their recognitions as we traditionally do at the beginning of the meeting. So who would like to start us off this evening?
Oh, go. It's okay, I'm kidding.
All right, so Mr. Gibbs, you got your lights on. Carol, you have your lights. Here. Pass this down. So we're the three of us. Oh, Ms. Belfer, I don't know if you turned in your thing. We got some bling this week for the 300-mile challenge that is going on, and I just want to highlight. These are some awards given by sponsors for the 300-mile challenge for walking to keep you from getting run over at night. But I wanted to highlight that not because of the board. I would like for all the board to be healthy and walking 7,000-ish steps a day, but to emphasize we're really trying to shift the focus for our district from just paying for insurance to the wellness of our employees. And so I would just encourage all of our employees who are out there who might be listening, if you didn't get in on this challenge, I just saw the email today that the next challenge, the registration opened today, and that is the fitness challenge. So please sign up, challenge yourself. It's so important with the stressful work that you all do to be healthy and to ready to take on the challenge. So now you can send my bling back down to me. But much more fun going on with the next challenge. So I just want to just make sure everybody's aware. I'm not going to make the board do anything else, but I just want to encourage all employees to take advantage of that fitness challenge that's coming up.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Jenkins?
All right, so I got a couple, right? I'm going to need some support from the people in the back to maybe cue some Beyonce or some Spice Girls or something for me, because I've got some huge shout outs for some ladies in our district. So first I want to talk about on Saturday, I was invited to attend Cocoa High School. Their city councilman, Alex Goins, as well as all their city council members, but he's the one who organized it. He put a call out to the community and asked them to come and rejuvenate Cocoa High School's stadium. And so they painted the bleachers, they pulled some weeds. He really wanted that space to be ready for when those students are ready to graduate. And I got there, and all there was ladies. And it was our Viera Hawks cheerleading team. And they were absolutely fantastic, and they were there because their coach had actually graduated from Cocoa High School, Miss Cheryl Dravis, and she was super proud to go back there and give back. And I have to give it to these ladies. There was a 4-hour time slot for people to come and volunteer. I mean, they didn't waste any time. They weren't chatting. They didn't do a thing.
They were grabbing the paint, climbing the bleachers. They were done in an hour and 30 minutes. And they did an amazing job. I was super impressed with them, and so hats off to them. They were there to work, and they were so happy to give back. What an amazing coach and an amazing team and an amazing experience for those girls to participate in. Actually, when I took a photo of them, I asked them on the count of 3 to say, "Where are the boys?" because they weren't there. However, there were some members of the community that were males. I will recognize them, but it was also a really great experience because there was, I got to talking to all of them, but there was one gentleman in particular. He had just had knee replacement surgery, so he couldn't really do a whole lot, but he wanted to be there just in physical presence to support. And he actually had retired from working at Cocoa High School as a maintenance worker, but he also had graduated from Cocoa High School. So it was really cool to see the community come out, step up, and really support that school. I'm going to keep going for my girls here. Our Hunch program, Space Coast Junior Senior is sending 2 teams of all girls for STEM to present their hardware to NASA in Texas. Tomorrow, they're getting on a plane, and the competition is on Thursday. Said it all girls. But I do also have to congratulate a student from Palm Bay High, Jaden Height. He is going to present his invention as well to NASA in Houston. And so I'm just super proud of these students. I got to see that prototype. It was really, really cool. And I'm really excited to hear how that turns out for them. And last but not least, this morning I had a unique opportunity to go to O'Galley High School. And I was participating in their supported and participatory classes because Brevard Achievement Center is going to be having an amazing performance that they have every year. This year it's going to be on May 10th, and it's at the King Center. If you want to attend, you do have to RSVP, and I'll make sure that that information gets out to Russ so he can put it out on our website and social media, and I'm going to do it on mine as well. Just a little shout out to the people who volunteer. Ms. Joan Taddy, she's a dear, loving friend of mine. She is a Brevard Public Schools alum, had worked for Brevard Public Schools for 38 years. She's given back at 75 years old to help these students put on a performance and be a part of something. And it's a really, really unique, amazing show that she actually wrote for them. It's a 5-minute performance. And this morning they asked me to participate and be there and help out with some of the wheelchairs and stuff, so I said I'll absolutely be there. And so I hope to see some of you guys there as well.
Thanks, Ms. Jenkins. That's actually my favorite event of the year, so I will definitely be there. Mr. Susan.
Well, first off, great call on the NASA Hunch program. O'Galley High School is right now, not many people understand what that is. NASA Hunch gives an opportunity for our people to be a part of challenges that if they win goes into space, whether that's in the Space Center and other places. So the Space Coast has a couple of teams, and uniquely NASA Hunch was in O'Galley when we were going through the trades tour. And O'Galley has won the opportunity to build the tread that will go on the Mars rover that will eventually be part of the first landing into Mars before we bring people to it. So to say the least about NASA Hunch and our program, thank you, Ms. Jenkins, for pointing that out. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity that we have that we can do those things. The other thing is, I don't know if you guys saw it, but we got an email on the art fair. And if you clicked on it, you got to click on the link, you get to see all the pictures. So just so you know, many times throughout the school district, they used to bring all the art in here and we'd be walking around, and it kind of got to be a point where it was difficult to do all that stuff. So now we get pictures of everybody's art. And it's been my goal from the beginning to find somebody that I can actually paint to do a better job from the beginning since I've been there. And I have not yet, and I confirm that this year is another year where I review all of the different pictures and find the most amazing art that you've ever seen. And again, I cannot do better than our kids. So if you haven't had an opportunity, take a look at that. It's absolutely some of the most beautiful pieces you'll see. Also wanted to say congratulations to Melbourne High Robotics team. Once again, they're going nationals. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, worlds. I mean, for me, that's, that's it. But worlds, and it's phenomenal. And one of the things I'm going to bring up in the item later on is that sometimes when they start going like that, we assist with funding and stuff like that. Also wanted to say big shout out to Cocoa trade show. The trade show went through there, and I heard it was like the biggest showing of anybody was at Cocoa. So like they said, they had more people out there than they'd ever seen before. And that's rightfully so, because Cocoa is amazing. Like they show up in numbers, and the city council supports and the mayor supports and the community supports. It's just a phenomenal community, and we're so lucky to have them. And I just want to say shout out to Coco. They did Astronaut also and did a great job up there. And then tonight on the agenda is the approval of the middle school, part of the design. So it's going to be, we're moving forward in that direction. That is a long time coming. So that's it. Didn't mean to, you know, I kept mine a little shorter than you, Dr. Mullins. I try to do that every single time. I haven't. And that's it, Ms. Belford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Susan. Ms. McDougall?
So, Mr. Susan, you stole my thunder about
Did I?
CTE at Cocoa High School.
Can you tell them about your Scottish garb you have on today?
I'm going to get
Okay,
there.
I'm sorry.
Don't rush it.
Sorry.
Anyhow, Mr. Susan is absolutely correct. It was an amazing turnout at Cocoa High School. And thank you to Ms. Rutledge, who coordinated it, and her team, and also to all the community members that showed up. We had a couple people that would not leave. They wanted to stay. We had to kind of help them to go because they were fascinated with the auto repair and the paint body shop. So I think we generated a lot of interest for our students, and hopefully we'll have some internships out of that. So hats off to our CTE program. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our Brevard Jazz Ensemble, which was middle school and high school. And Miss Campbell and I were both there, and oh my goodness, I felt like I was in a jazz club. And these kids are phenomenal. How the bass player, the piano player, the saxophone players, I just thought, and the coaches are, if I understand right, the coaches are selected and they're different each year. And it's from all kids, they have to try out, and it's from all students throughout our district, correct? And so we had kids from different schools, and I think they had only 3 rehearsals. Is that right? Anybody? Has right. Day and a half, and you would never have known it. They were so professional. So that was just a fun afternoon. So shout out to the jazz teachers and the music teachers and the band teachers who got them to that level. It's just absolutely amazing. And also, since Mr. Susan brought it up, this month is Scottish Heritage Month, and I happen to have the name McDougall, which, so I'm wearing...
McDougall, hang on, I have all your speech.
Oh, thank you so much.
We're just going to play this while she speaks real quick here, just so you guys know. Go ahead, Mr.
So,
McDougall. Would you like to stand up?
No, I don't.
Okay. I just feel so inspired at this moment right now.
So,
when she wore this
could you
garb
turn
earlier
it
today, I was so
down
excited.
a little bit?
Okay,
Can
I'm
you
sorry.
turn- Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I was excited.
Yeah, that's better.
I'm sorry.
So anyhow, this is the McDougall tartan. I have the McDougall crest, but anyhow, it's Scottish Heritage Month for the month of April, and it is also the Arab American Heritage Month for the month of April also. So I try to celebrate the different months for the different cultures because we are such a diverse district, and I wanted to kind of highlight that, oh yeah, I'm Scottish. And so I wanted to do that. And just one more, and then I'm done, is this month is also the month of the military child. And we have a lot of military children and parents in our community. So on, let's see if I can get this right. What day? Because I got it wrong before. April 20th, wear purple. Wear purple to celebrate the military child. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. McDougall. Dr. Mullins?
Funny.
Thank you, Mrs. Belford. First, I want to do a shout out to Miss Darlene Wegner. She's our media specialist at Cambridge Elementary School, as she helped our first group of elementary students, talking about CTE, earn their digital tools. It's not certification, but it's like an endorsement. But our elementary kids are participating in career and technical education related training and preparation. So it's our first group of elementary students. We launched that CTE digital tools program this year, and about 10 or 12 of our elementary schools, and we're looking to expand it every year. But just a great pace that she set. Ms. Wegner, the media specialist, taking this on and helping our kids. And then I got to give a shout out to our science and engineering fair kids who went to state competition. Our kids represented 12% of the students in the fair, but we brought home over 14% of the total placement awards. We had 2 junior Best of Show award recipients and 1 senior award recipients. So Brevard Public Schools continues, I like to use the word dominate, state science fair, so we're very proud of them. And then Mr. Susans already gave a shout out to Mel High, but I see we have the Mel High regional winning coach here in the audience. Tom Gabler. Tom, stand up. Let us recognize you. Tom he has been a Bulldog educator for, I want to ask you how long? Long time. He tolerated all three of my kids, got them, helped them get them through high school. But Tom goes above and beyond. He's involved in so many things across the campus, not the least of which is coaching up our robotics team, and they are now going on to World's Championship in, I think, Houston. Is that right? So we wish you well. High bar set tonight. We got state champion academic team. You're going to bring home the World Championship trophy, in a few weeks. We believe in you, but congratulations, and thank you for serving our kids. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Plant our flag out there. When you get out there, Brevard schools, put it at their flag.
There you go. And then last, just going to do a shout out to our Odyssey of the Mind teams. That you may remember just a couple of weeks ago, 4 teams have earned a bid to advance to World Finals in Iowa State in Ames, Iowa at the end of May. So our kids are rocking it across the state and across the country, and the world. So exciting things.
Ms. Belford, have you noticed Dr. Mullins? He's like kind of amped up tonight. He's been going. Have you noticed
Yeah, I don't know what
that?
you guys are drinking on that
What's
end of the
going on
dais,
down
but
here? This is absurd.
This
down
vitamin
here.
water. It's amazing.
hey, I'm in the Vitamin Water Club. All right, I have just a few. You all were gracious enough to listen to me over and over and over about the prom project event leading up to the event. It was this past Saturday, and what a phenomenal opportunity for our kids. In short order, they brought together so many dresses and purses and shoes and tuxes and dress shirts and men's shoes and ties and makeup, and I mean, you name it. They had people there doing hair and makeup on the kids. They had a selfie station for them to take pictures. They even had coupons for free corsages from a florist that reached out and said, hey, I'd like to provide this. So many sponsors that came together and supported the program, and snacks for the kids, and all sorts of things. So to everyone who made that possible, thank you. Primarily sponsored by Space Coast Association of Realtors, and they did the yeoman's portion of the work. But certainly, everyone coming together, including those who donated items, are the ones that made it possible. So many thanks to all of them. I got confirmation this afternoon from Ms. Pagey that we have moved all of their dresses over to our North Area Alternative Learning Center for storage until next year's event. So if you didn't get a chance to turn your dresses in, or as proms finish this year and you don't want to have them hanging in your closet, please reach out to SCAR and drop those dresses off to them so we can expand even more for next year. Also want to give a shout out to our supply zone. And I don't know if you all are aware, but they have started actually allowing our schools to order online and then deliver the items to them instead of teachers having to go and pick them up at the school or principals having to pick them up at the school. And I was blessed to be part of the pilot program for that because they need volunteer drivers. So last week I took a load, picked up a load at Supply Zone and took it to Mims Elementary and dropped it off, made their day. And when I tell you, these are everything is nicely packaged with the teacher's name on it, everything that's in the boxes. It's all kinds of supplies and backpacks and all sorts of things. And quite honestly, for those schools that are far away from the Supply Zone, it's really difficult for them to get down there and get their supplies, and yet oftentimes those are some of the ones most in need. And so kudos to them for, I guess, thinking outside the box and figuring out a way to solve that problem. And I encourage you all, if you have some extra time, I actually have another load in my car tonight that I picked up on my way in today that'll be delivered to Mims Elementary tomorrow. And I've got 2 other North Area schools that they need transportation for. So I will be working on that. But here's the really cool thing. well, it's all really cool. But one of the really cool things is they're using our BLAST students from O'Galley High. They were there, our BLAST students were there today, and they're teaching them warehousing skills. And so they get a pick list, and they go and they gather all of the things from the supply zone, and they pack them up and they label them for the teacher. And it's just phenomenal to see them having the opportunity to get out and really contribute to that. The kids were so excited when I was there today, just talking about how hard they had worked and how happy they were to be able to be there and all of that stuff. So just a win-win-win really all around that. We're just super fortunate. And then one not so happy thing, all of you know Liz at the supply zone. Liz has left us. She moved on to a different position, and I don't know what her official title was, but she was supply zone guru. As she handled our back to school drives and everything going on at the supply zone, and so she's going to be sorely missed. Just huge appreciation to Liz for all that she's done over the years, but she is so committed that her last day of work was on Friday, and when I went to pick up my load today, she's there volunteering. So I think we will probably still see her at the supply zone from time to time, but she will definitely be missed. And then the last thing that I have for tonight is, you all know Lewis, who is typically in our sound room in the back. Today is Lewis's birthday, so a big happy birthday to Lewis. Had planned to call him out and make the entire audience sing him happy birthday, but he wasn't feeling well, and so he went home. So, yes, happy birthday, Lewis, and thank you for all you do to support us. Uh-oh. Happy birthday, Mrs. Jenkins. Sorry we missed it. Happy belated. All right. I think with that, we are coming up to the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Mullins.
Mrs. Belford and members of the board, on this evening's agenda, we have administrative staff recommendations, 1 resolution, 1 proclamation, 1 presentation, 21 consent items, 3 action items, and 2 information items. Changes made to the agenda since released to the public include a revision to A7 administrative staff recommendations, and the presentation was attached for the D10 superintendent's report with junior achievement.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by, I think I heard Ms. Campbell first. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins, will you please let us know about the administrative staff recommendation?
Yes, Ms. Belford and members of the board, there are 5 items for your consideration.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0, begrudgingly on this one.
Yes.
I almost
Dr. Mullins.
Believe it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to take this opportunity. Dr. Fetty, did you, by chance, did you see if Mr. Novelli is outside?
Yeah. Yeah, he knew this was coming.
He is not going to be happy. Mr. Novelli, I know you were going to try, and Mrs. Novelli, try and be incognito, but this evening, the board reluctantly approved your retirement, effective at the end of this fiscal year. Mr. Novelli, we thank you, and we have great admiration for your service as an administrator, as an educator in Brevard Public Schools for 36 years. Yes. I will share a little personal note. Mr. Novelli was a high school math teacher at Palm Bay, then high school. The same time I was a math teacher at Cocoa Beach High School. And I didn't know who Robin Novelli was except for this algebra supplement workbook that I found in the teacher book room as a young math teacher, was trying to figure out how to get my kids to understand algebra concepts. And on the cover of that curriculum supplement was this Robin Novelli, who I I had no idea who that person was, but I sure appreciated the resources that he helped put together. So, Robin, on a personal level, I thank you for being a leader among math educators to help us all be better than we would have or could have been on our own, but also your 2 decades plus of administrative leadership across Palm Bay High School, Southwest Middle School, Johnson Middle School, Bayside High School, served as director of secondary curriculum and instruction, and now serving as the chief operating officer for the last couple of years. We thank you for your selfless service to Brevard's kids, as well as, where did your bride go? His wife, Terry, is also 34 years 34 years old, yeah. She is 34 years of service to Brevard schools as well in the support staff ranks, serving as school secretary and clerk, and now in the maintenance department. We are so pleased that Florida Tech drew you down, and Brevard Public Schools was able to recruit you and for your collective, 70-some years of service to Brevard's kids. Congratulations on your very well-deserved retirement. There's still a lot of work to get done before you go, so we know that you will work it well through the end. So congratulations to you both.
All right, you got me here at the podium, Russ, so I got to say something, right?
Uh-oh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mullins. I have a plaque that I look at quite often that a good friend of mine gave me many, many years ago. And it says something like, "Glory be to him whose power working within us can do infinitely more than we can ask or imagine." And I am just so grateful to God for this wonderful privilege of a meaningful career where I had a chance to work with some amazing people for 36 years. Principals, assistant principals, teachers come to mind, and just hundreds of individuals, district leaders, support staff, students, parents, community members, board members. And these folks encouraged me and invested in me and led me, followed me, worked side by side with me, put up with me, and I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to work with these folks and to make a difference for kids. It's been an amazing career. And as I think of all those hundreds and hundreds of individuals that I've had the pleasure to work with, and so many times together as a team, we pulled off what seemed to be the impossible. And there is one employee that you've just mentioned that I would like to recognize. And, she's an employee of Sue's. As you mentioned, her name is Terry. She's standing behind me. When people at plant operations and maintenance find out what her last name is, they often ask her, "Are you related to Mr. Novelli?" And she'll always answer, "Yes, he's my father." And they believe her. Must be the gray hair, I guess. But actually, Terry got her very first job in Brevard Public Schools during our honeymoon. She was hired at Central Junior High School at the time, which is located where West Shore is now. And so she's been literally with me every step of the way, and I want to thank her. Couldn't have done it without you. As you pointed out, after 70 years of combined service, we are looking forward to finding out what married life is like outside of Brevard Public Schools. So thank you very much. God bless you all.
Right. Dr. Mullins, will you please let us know about the resolution and proclamation on the agenda?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. The first item is a resolution to name April 2022 as Month of the Military Child. Mr. Brune will read the resolution, and we have some of our military partners and representatives here this evening as well.
Good evening. What a meeting, huh? Not to put pressure on you, but Colonel Marshall is here, and if the vote goes his way, he will say a few words. Month of the Military Child. Whereas thousands of brave Americans have demonstrated their courage and commitments to freedom by serving the armed forces of the United States of America in active duty posts around the world, and thank you. Whereas we recognize that the many of the Patrick Space Force Base's youth have been directly affected by the military deployment or separation of at least one parent and the difficult reintegration period that follows all deployments. And whereas these children and youth are a source of pride and honor to us all, and it is only fitting that we take the time to recognize their contributions, celebrate their spirit, and let our men and women in uniform know that while they are taking care of us, we're taking care of their children. And whereas the recognition of the Month of the Military Child, first established in 1986 by Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, will allow us to pay tribute to military children for their commitment, their struggles, and their unconditional support of our troops, because when parents serve in the military, the kids serve too. And whereas everyone is encouraged to wear purple on Wednesday, April 20th, as a visible sign to thank military children for their strength and sacrifice, and whereas a month-long salute to military children and youth will encourage local community support to provide direct support to military children and families and reinforce the strong partnerships that we have cultivated between Brevard Public Schools and Patrick Space Force Base. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Brevard Public Schools recognizes and celebrates April 2022 as Month of the Military Child, and as designated by the Florida Department of Education, April 20th, 2022 will be Wear Purple Day for military kids. Proclamation recognized on this 12th day of April, 2022.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Gibbs, can we have a motion by 4 people? Moved by Mr. Susan and Ms. Jenkins, and seconded by Ms. Campbell and Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Sarah.
Why, thank you very much. On behalf of Brigadier General Purdy and Team Patrick Cape, I want to thank Dr. Mullins, the board, and the school district for their support to our military children. It is not without thought, and like you mentioned earlier about context, I have a son that just entered his freshman year at USF. Through his time, he had 7 different schools in 5 different states. So you and the board and the district's full effort is what helps make our military child's transition to each different school beneficial, seamless, and supportive. So we want to thank you for that. Our continued partnership with the county and the school district, and we also want to highlight the fact that we do have DoD Starbase, which helps facilitate STEM education throughout the county and our communities locally. So again, thank you to the board, Dr. Mullins, and the school district, and all the teachers and support staff. Thank you.
Sure. All right, Mr. Brune, you're getting your workout this evening, huh? Dr. Mullins?
Madam Chair and members of the board, the next item is to proclaim the week of April 25th through the 29th as After-School Professionals Appreciation Week. Mr. Brune will again read the proclamation.
Whereas Brevard Public Schools, Office of Elementary Leading and Learning, and the Brevard Before and After School Department firmly believe that after-school professionals, our school coordinators, activity leaders, and group leaders have a positive effect on our children, families, community, and businesses. Whereas after-school professionals are a decisive element in children's access to high-quality relationships and expanded opportunities beyond what they have access to at school and home, which they need to reach their full potential. Whereas after-school professionals deserve appreciation for all that they do for children to enhance their education, promote physical and emotional health, provide a safe environment, and expose them to new experiences. Whereas Brevard Public Schools, Office of Elementary Leading and Learning, and Brevard Before and After School Department are committed to supporting the professionals who provide expanded learning opportunities to help close the achievement gap and prepare young people to compete in the global economy. Now, therefore, the Brevard Public Schools do hereby proclaim April 25th to 29th, 2022 as After School Professionals Appreciation Week in Brevard Public Schools and urge the citizens of Brevard County, Florida to join us in this special observance with appropriate events and displays of appreciation.
Thank you, Mr. Brune. What are the wishes of the board?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Jenkins, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, the next item on the agenda is a superintendent report on junior achievement. Dr. Mullins will lead the presentation, followed by Ann Conroy, president of junior achievement of the space.
Actually, as Ms. Conroy and I were meeting to put our presentation together, I quickly realized I would pale in comparison in presenting all of the great work that JA does with us and our schools and ultimately our kids. And so, Ann, I want to invite you to the podium. She's going to do the presentation for me, but we have had a great relationship and partnership, both JA and the district, but also it is a great honor, and I'm humbled to serve as a board member of Junior Achievement, I don't know, now for 6, 7-ish years?
9, 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But it's been great, and I know the board is very familiar with Junior Achievement. So, Ann, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. I'm supposed to have a PowerPoint here somewhere. Okay. And I can use this magic button to go up a little too, right? Yep. Right. So good evening. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. We have a lot of junior achievement volunteers on the at the podium. I'm not sure what that's called, but a dais. Okay. Yeah. But bear with me. I'm going to give you a little 101 on JA and a progress report and some exciting updates we're able to share. So here we go. Junior Achievement of the Space Coast is part of a global organization, which is 103 or 4 years old now. But JA of the Space Coast was founded in 1984. And at its very essence, what we do is we place volunteers in K through 12 classrooms to teach programs in financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and workforce readiness. Our goal in 23 next year is to reach more than 20,000 students, and at no cost to Brevard schools. We're at no cost to anybody, in fact. And my partner in crime here, Candace Hodge, our education and program manager, we're listening to the presentations tonight and the recognitions, and we're thinking, oh, Michael Cador's nonprofit, we can provide programs to them. The after-school program, let's talk to them, because we like to reach as many students as possible. We are supported by 47 board members, and you kind of stole my thunder there, Dr. Mullins, but I've been at JA for 8 years, and he preceded me, so we're talking 9 or 10 years, I think. I also want to recognize Lori Capelli, CEO of Community Credit Union, who is sitting here. She was my past board chair, and Leslie Tibbetts as well, both board members of JA. We have the most mission-oriented, least contentious, most student-centric board I've ever worked with. I've worked with boards my entire career, And we really enjoy working within this structure, within this county, within this district, to reach every student we can. So a little bragging on JA. We're currently ranked number 7 out of 107 area offices, and what you need to know there is that we're the second smallest JA in the country. I just had a meeting with the president of JAUSA last week and told him everything we have going on, and he literally stopped me and said, "Are you kidding me?" Because we have a teeny tiny little staff. Right now we are 2.5 people. We're going to go up to 3.5 and 4.5 over the next couple of years. But what we do is we reach more students per staff member than anybody else in the country. In 2019, and of course the before times, we were up 22% in student reach. And we do that through volunteers. We recruit community volunteers. On an average year, we recruit between 400 and 500. And if you look at the economic impact of that, it's right near $3 million per year that's going into the Space Coast economy. A 5-year total of that is over $12 million. And that earned us that little award there, Peak Performance Award, only given to the top 10 area offices in the country. So our content areas are work readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. But what does that mean for the Space Coast? One nice thing about JA is that we're allowed to be entrepreneurial. We're allowed to tailor our programming to what our students need, to what our workforce needs. So under workforce readiness, that means industry-driven workforce. We make connections between industry and classroom. Women in STEM, we are trying to close that wage gap and encourage young women to go into STEM careers. DEI in the workforce, we all need it. Everybody's held accountable these days, and we're really making sure that our young people know that they are wanted and needed and that they have the right skills to perform. And then also region-wide concerns like the lagoon. We started a lagoon program this year because we're trying to create the future workforce. It's not a short program. It's a long-term problem for the county, challenge for the county. So we're trying to make sure we've got the right people in place in 10, 20 years to challenge. Financial literacy, major goal, eliminate generational poverty. Financial life skills, return on investment on education and careers. Our students are stressed out. They know what's ahead of them. They do not want to go into debt, and they want to have careers that they like. We're trying to guide them in the right place. And entrepreneurship. We're trying to create an entrepreneurial pipeline from K all the way through adult. We're working with local incubators, Groundswell, and the Legacy Angel Network to make sure those things happen, as well as encourage entrepreneurship skills, because our major workforce, our major industries in this area are looking for entrepreneurial skills within their companies, entrepreneurship, and hands-on skills development. The kids love this stuff. They love learning all these things. It's life skills. And why do we do it? J alumni, they start businesses at a higher rate. They earn 20% more. They finish high school at a higher rate. Alumni shift from low-income areas to high-income areas. And 1 in 5 JA alumni are influenced by their volunteers in the classroom. Not only that, they tend to like their careers more because they are influenced by an adult. So impact hours, we've got some numbers. On an average year, you can see a history between 2015 and 2019, but our impact hours are around 70,000 hours recently. There's your economic impact again. And students per year. So you're going to see where COVID hit there. So 21, 22, but look at us in 2023. We've really got big ideas for next year. We've been doing it through a couple strategies. Over the last 8 years, we changed our strategies. When I first came to JA 8 years ago, we had a major impact in elementary, but not so much in secondary. Candace and I are parents, our board members, all our parents, and we know, wow, the kids need us even more as they get older. So over the years, we've been changing that ratio. And that is not through ignoring our elementary students, it's by building more numbers. So the major way these days we reach elementary students are through something called a JA in a day. And that is when we place volunteers in every classroom of an entire school for a day. When I first started 8 years ago, we were averaging about 6 schools per year. Our goal for next year is 14 schools in the year. And most of those numbers are going towards Title I students. There's the ratio there between traditional delivery, and I think a lot of us know volunteers going to a classroom once a week, versus the J&A day, the blue numbers, where these are the elementary targets for next year. Major partners. We're so lucky to be partnering with some of the leaders in the area. Top left-hand corner, Brevard Public School. and a community credit union, L3 Harris, Space Coast Credit Union, Weiderman Malik. We are so fortunate to have real, authentic partnerships that help us reach these students. They care too. Brevard's a really weird place. Industry is as concerned with our young people as we are. And what that makes, it's a perfect mix for JA. Some of the ways we're reaching secondary schools are through custom programs we're creating on site and tailoring for our students. This is JA Money One. It's a financial literacy program that Candace created. It takes students from age 16 through 21 with all the major milestones, financial milestones and decisions they need to make along the way. Everything from reading your first paycheck and where did all my money go, to not going into debt for college, to choosing a career that's going to have a good return on investment. We're lucky to have Community Credit Union underwrite that program for us, and we're rolling it out even further next year. Here's the Balda Family Foundation Innovation Challenge. This actually just took place a couple weeks ago. We are lucky to have Jennifer and Misty. I'm sorry.
You're
yeah,
fine.
okay, good. The Miss and the Misses, yeah. We had teams from around Brevard County come together to compete with their entrepreneurial ideas. And they had to present their ideas in front of panels of judges. They had to defend their intellectual ideas and stand up and be professionals, get that experience. We went on for the final, we had a first round at EFSC. Our final round was at Florida Tech last week. Here's a picture of our first round. And you can see those kids standing up at the front, brave as can be, with these amazing ideas. Here's our final round. Our winning team was from Bayside. The beta program there is amazing. But if our coach is still here, Mel High was also represented, and it was a fantastic evening. The winner was from Bayside, and they will win $12,000 renewable scholarships to Florida Tech, as well as the Balda Family Foundation open scholarships available to them.
And Ann, just so you know, that MECP was my team. That it was our number one that we put forward, just so you're aware. So.
Congratulations on behalf of Junior Achievement.
Excuse me, we all voted on, putting those through.
That competition, more than anything else, is about optimism. It's about seeing our young people. We love placing, and Matt was a judge one year. And Katie was too, weren't you? Yeah. We love placing community and business leaders in front of those students because invariably they walk out of those competition rooms and they're like, yeah, I wasn't the smartest person in the room for the last 4 hours, and because our students are so accomplished and they're so ambitious. Last year, we had Vieira is usually in this competition also, and they actually entered the brand new JAUSA national competition. They had, I think, 6 teams enter. The results of the 25 students who placed into the finals at the national level, 14 of them were from the Space Coast. Unbelievable. The second, yeah. One of the Vieira teams went on to second place, a team of 3 young women, and they were on CNBC last summer. So the professional development opportunities from this program just ripple out. We have word that Bayside entered 10 teams into the national competition. Fingers crossed, we'll keep you updated. Another new development, Rachel Rutledge. She's fantastic, director of CTE. She's innovative. And last year, she and I wrote a grant together for the Department of Education, $100,000. We were awarded, and we started this program, JA Company Pop-Up. What that is there's a classic flagship program of junior achievement called the Company Program. Students come together, they actually build a product, they have a board of directors, they get investors, they start the bank account, they make the thing, they sell it, and they make a profit. This pop-up program is kind of a lighter version of that for more modern times. It's in the classroom, which is nice and convenient. And we got the grant again this year. So we are at Space Coast Junior Senior, at Rockledge, and at Vieira. We've got teams under amazing mentors. We see Cordell Roll. I think a lot of people know him these days. He's out in the community, a board member also. And they're at this moment creating their products. They're going to start selling them, and we'll have a winner again this year. They're getting hands-on entrepreneurial. We also partner within the community to reach, I mentioned those workforce connections. So workforce development, we're trying to broaden the spectrum of what kids think they can do in their lives. Kids grow up and they see what their parents do, and they see their teachers, and they see the administrators. They see doctors and nurses, and not too many, hopefully, lawyers or policemen, right? So we're trying to bring people into classrooms or take kids into the workplace so that they think broader, they think bigger, they dream bigger, and they can get more satisfying careers. We do this with partnerships too. I want to mention we're very close partners with the Economic Development Commission. They have a manufacturing STEM career as the burgeoning knowledge that not everybody should go to college has been really important. And so we're now telling kids all sorts of directions they can do after college and what salary they can earn and what kind of lifestyle they can maintain. So the partnership with the EDC really helps us get the word out with that. JA Job Shadows, we're taking kids into workplaces to see it, be it. And then JA Speaker Series is the reverse. We bring speakers into classrooms and they tell about their careers. We tell them, I started here, I ended up here. There were zigs and zags along the way because nobody goes in a straight line. And kids are, again, broadened in their spectrum. When COVID hit, we took that program and went virtual. We asked a board member, Mark Malik of Wiederman Malik, to create a video. He did it by midnight that night. And the result was this amazing online video library that teachers are able to access, assess also. They could monitor if their kids were doing it. We gave them testing incomes or outcomes to do that. That also helped us because we couldn't have volunteers in classrooms for a year and a half. So this allowed us to virtually place volunteers in classrooms to still reach those students. These are one of the things, this is one of the programs we're most proud of. Tied Together, Glenn Outlaw. Everybody knows that program. He's fantastic. It was an elegant program. He sends volunteers into classrooms, meets with all the young men in the school. But as a mother of 3 daughters, I think I sent an 8 a.m. message to Katie on Saturday morning and said, hey, what are the girls doing? And she reported back that her daughter went to a school that had Tied Together, and they didn't do anything. I said, please give me 1 week, we're gonna come back with a solution. Dr. Rendell from Cocoa Beach let us pilot this program. What we're trying to do is influence and inspire young women to go into STEM. We place 3 relatable young women on stage to talk about, again, their zigs and zags, their education path and their way forward. And then we do something really brave. We give the students a phone number, and their questions can come in anonymously. But what it does is it removes the fear of people asking questions, and the floodgates open. How do you like what you do? Are you discriminated against in the workplace or education? I'm a woman, will I make the same amount of money? And when we first started out, how many people want to go into STEM? How many young women want to go to STEM? A couple of hands. At the end of that presentation, the hands flew up. We will be, I think, in front of 20,000 young women with Tied Together next year. They will handle the young men on all those community investment, community wraparound, integrity skills they're learning with them, and with us on the Women in STEM. This was Johnson Middle School. And I want to point out that photo at the bottom. Look at the diversity in that group. Look at the enthusiasm in that group. School ended, they stayed for 30 minutes after school to continue questioning our panelists. It was fantastic. We've rolled that same model about putting 3 young, relatable people on stage into the lagoon. So we are hoping to roll this program out widely next year. Again, it's an assembly program. It's co-ed, so the young men participate also. Dr. Rendell let me pilot it there. It was another big success, so we'll be rolling that out next year also. So this is the big news we've been given permission to share. Commissioner Zonka, Brevard Commissioner Zonka, attended our Hall of Fame last summer and came away thinking, this is legacy level work we're doing. We are affecting the future generations. So she has directed $700,000 towards junior achievement. We'll be starting with that money this spring. $200,000 of which is pass-through. That's going to go right back to the district for much needed equipment in the CTE programs. The rest of the money we will be doing, we are going to be placing full-time JA people at 2 different high schools. Cocoa High School, only Title I high school in Brevard. Let's wrap them around. We'll have that person full-time in the school. They will liaison with the teachers to make sure every student receives JA. They will make the connections with the footprint of Cocoa High School to arrange for support, for sustaining the program, for job shadows, apprenticeships, the internships, all the magic words that we are trying to get our students connected with. In the second year, we will be starting at Heritage High as well. We just met with Heritage last week. They were excited. And in fact, they're going to actually jump ahead of the timeline and start with junior achievement. We now have semester-long curriculum that we are able to offer those schools, and they want to start with that financial literacy credit to meet the new state mandate. So we're going to be piloting that at Heritage next year. I want to mention that Dr. Stephanie Sullivan has been a partner in setting all of this. Her enthusiasm for junior achievement and her enthusiasm, she's here, yeah? There you are back there. Absolute pleasure to work with. And we're so excited to do this program to reach those students in the schools that need us most. The goal, let's eliminate generational poverty in those two footprints. The DOE is really excited about those semester-long classes and has given us approval to get them going and use us as a model statewide. And JUSA is actually sending in a data, they're going to start a longitudinal study to track these students beyond what we are doing within the schools. So that is it. I want to say thank you. We are so grateful for this partnership. We are able to talk with other JA area offices around the country. And Candace was in on a national call yesterday of other smaller markets. And those area offices are saying things like, yes, we try to reach the students in 3rd grade and 7th grade, and that's it. Or through a career fair, and that's it. So we appreciate the partnership where you're letting us be the width and the depth of what we're able to do so that we can reach as many students as we can. And that goes from Dr. Mullins. My nerds are catching up with me finally. Our school board members, we're so appreciative. The administration, we really appreciate all of you, and our board of directors. So thank you very much.
Ms. Belford, I think I'm exhausted after watching that presentation. And that is the most intense and presentation I've seen. Like, I was sitting there, I was like, and I was like, oh my, how many slides inside this thing,
A
right?
staff of 2.5.
Yeah.
They are a power woman force that never slows down and just doesn't let any barrier or any lack of imagination stop them from continuing to search for greater and better ways of connecting with us. And we're just like, wow, let's do this. Let's go.
You have the coolest job in the world. I'm not lying to you, because all of the stuff that you do impacts those kids to that next level. Financial literacy, entrepreneurship, you're in this career and technical trades. What you're doing is anything short of amazing. So thank you. Thank you for letting me be a judge that day. I was like floored, right? But you guys are amazing. Your program's amazing, and obviously you have the full force of the district behind you. But it's all because of you and your staff. Like, this hasn't always been this way. So big pat on the back for you and your staff, and thank you for everything you do for our kids. Thank you.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And you know, it's pretty amazing. The day I got to do at Discovery a couple years ago, and we're teaching 2nd graders about taxes, and they loved it. So it's so creative, and you know, people who aren't trained to be in the classroom, who come in the classroom and just, you know, of course they bring candy, that helps, but are able to teach these financial principles in an age-appropriate way, the way that you prepare them so they can come into the classroom and teach the material in an age-appropriate way. It is wonderful. And I know, you know, those students at Discovery who've been there every year, by the time they get through 6th grade, they'll have had 7 years of experience of that training. And so just very much just want to add my appreciation to everyone else's for the great work that you guys do. And to all of our community members who are a part of that, whether they're because they're giving or because they're volunteering. Your partnership with EFSC, you didn't mention that in there, but no, we have a good partnership with EFSC where a lot of volunteers come from. So thank you for helping us connect with the community.
Can I jump in there too? I just, when you guys were talking about your staff numbers and I kept saying the half part, I'm thinking, how do you have half? How do you have half? I think it's because you wear them down to a half. But I appreciate you ladies so much. Ever since I ever met the two of you, you guys are the most energetic, positive, live, breathe, die, love your job people. And you inspire me to be an amazing person. I appreciated that opportunity at Eastern Florida State College. What was really cool was just participating with huge members of the community that really were just there for fun. And some of them were a little rough on those kids, but it was great because they loved it. It was such a good learning opportunity for them. And it was wonderful to see our students blossom and present themselves. And so thank you for that opportunity. And I look forward to continuing to work with you.
I will echo those sentiments. I think you guys know how I feel about JA and the powerful work that you guys are doing with our students, and I'm so excited to see that focus on Title I students going forward, and looking forward to seeing you guys up on the north end some more, and very exciting stuff. And Dr. Mullins, I just want to tell you, you're right. You made the good call to have Ann do the presentation.
It was faster.
Thank you guys for all you do. All right. We are now going to be at our public comment portion of the meeting on agenda items. We have 5 speakers, therefore each speaker will receive 3 minutes. Please note that the time it is per speaker, not per agenda item. Topics not specific to agenda items will be moved to the non-agenda item portion of the meeting. We have a clock in front of me to help you keep track of your time. When your time is over, you will be asked to stop and allow the next speaker his or her turn. Always keep in mind that reasonable decorum is expected, and your statement should be directed to the board chair. The chair may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when time is up. It's personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Should an individual not observe proper etiquette, the chair may request the individual to leave the meeting. I will call up 3 speakers at a time. Our first 3 speakers are Katie Delaney, Sarah Mursky, and Carrie Takat.
Great. Are we ready?
Whenever you are.
I'm Katie Delaney, and I'm here to speak on a couple of the agenda items. They kind of go together a little bit. So the first one is the Title IX coordinator. From what I read, it looks like it may be a new position and not one that's just being rehired. So that's adding another possibly 6-figure job to the district level. And that doesn't count benefits or retirement, any of that other stuff. I'm sure it's close to $1 million, if not more, for a position like that. And the next thing that I want to speak on is the millage. I'm 100% against a millage, especially if we do not have a audit of the budget. I believe the state is sending over $600 million next year to you guys. I don't know if that's all state money or if that's state and federal money, but we should have enough money to be able to pay our teachers and our bus drivers and create a great learning environment for our kids for that money. The public has lost all trust, and now you're asking us for more of our hard-earned money when we're spending $5 a gallon in gas and a loaf of bread is $5, and people can barely feed their families right now, and now you want to tax them more? It's not right. We have plenty of money in this community that we could get that money from, I'm sure, one of our wonderful community partners, or we just need to manage the money that we have better. And I'm not saying that anybody is doing anything with ill intent with the budget, but maybe there's a way that that things could be budgeted differently to find the funds that we need to pay our teachers more and to pay our other staff more and to hire more support staff and all of that. So I just wanted to say again, I'm 100% against a millage, especially if we don't have an audit of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mercy.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Board. My name is Sarah Mirsky. I'm a wife, mother of 2 children in BPS, registered voter, taxpayer, constituent, stakeholder, and I'm in District 2 for school board. I wish everyone a blessed Easter as we enter into Holy Week. And I would like to address agenda items F12, F21, I-37, and H35. F12 is the board work evaluation session. I attended this meeting with great interest and sadness. It's clear this board has its biases against each other, including you, Madam Chair. I came here not just to complain about the issue, but to offer a solution. I highly recommend John C. Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership for All Individual Board Members, as well as his book, The 17 Irrefutable Laws of Teamwork for the School Board as a Whole. As far as signing a code of ethics, all board members should be doing their due diligence in signing it immediately. Most people who are elected to boards in the private sector who do not sign a code of ethics, it is grounds for termination or removal from the board seat. I expect the same standard of my elected officials. It's time to put differences aside and represent all the people of Brevard as you were elected to do. I-37, no taxation without representation. We don't need a new middle school right now. Delora and McNair's enrollment is down, as well as all enrollment across the district is down. We need a forensic audit of the budget, not higher taxes, especially with the taxpayers facing an affordable housing crisis, high tax prices, and high food prices. F12 and F21. I don't know why we need a Title IX interim coordinator contract that is essentially a blank check for about a year that the taxpayers have to pay. $350 an hour is a really hefty price to pay when the public doesn't know why we need this, as well as a Title IX coordinator position. I urge the board to vote no on these agenda items until the public is aware of what this is and why we need this service and position. We already have anti-discrimination policies and laws on the books. If one of you could follow up with me after the meeting tonight on this, I would appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. As Carrie is approaching, our next 2 speakers will be Sean Overdorf and Crystal Kay.
Sláinte to all the fellow Scots in Brevard. That's awesome. I wanted to take a quick moment to thank you all for celebrating military children. I have 2 children, they're military children. It's not the easiest, but it means a lot to them. Tonight I'm speaking on agenda item I-37 ad valorem millage resolution. We're presently experiencing record inflation at a 40-year high of 8.5% paired with soaring gas prices. As Brevard County's taxpayers continue to struggle with the financial hardships this has created, I'm asking you not to adopt or approve this resolution. It is not in the best interest for families to part with more of their money at a time where the cost of living is greatly outpacing wages. Furthermore, I implore you to support an audit for transparency. Before asking a struggling community for more of their tax dollars, it is prudent that you first reveal where the tax dollars are being spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Overdorf?
My name is Sean Overdorf. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to the Cocoa Beach girls basketball team. They took home the AAU tournament this weekend in Daytona Beach trophy. They won first place. I guess first off, I want to start, I'm 100% behind teachers getting a pay raise. They're grossly underpaid. I guess what I'm asking the board is if you guys could table this millage, just so maybe we can do some further research. I've been going door-to-door canvassing neighborhoods. A lot of parents are kind of against this, and I'm not against it. I'm not. But I think we need to look at all alternate resources. There's other sources of money out there that we've lost that I think we could try to recover. The mass policies, I mean, there's tens of millions of dollars in students that have left the district. And talking to parents, there's probably going to be another wave leaving because of this bathroom policy. That's another thing. If you guys, I just implore you, just please amend it. You can make it so, you know, that students can use the nurse's bathroom, something like that. I don't want to see kids leave. I mean, it's $8,000 a kid we're losing. That's how much money we're losing. That's tens of millions of dollars. Tens of millions of dollars. We've already lost money for putting the mask policy in place from DeSantis. There's millions of dollars there we've lost. That's probably pretty much it. Like I said, I just ask if you guys would consider tabling the millage. Don't put that on the taxpayers' backs at this time. Even if we can recover some of this money and maybe do half the millage, what I'm asking. I mean, let's look at other sources of income that we can bring back to this district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Crystal?
Good evening, distinguished Board of Education. I am also against the millage and ask you to also table the resolution. In the words of Randy Fine, next week, local education politicians are proposing to increase taxes on Brevard residents. This is crazy. I want folks to know just how much money they are receiving for next year. Despite only projecting a 1,600 student enrollment increase or 2.2%, the legislature increased BPS funding by 7.5% or $42 million. This $42 million is after the $6 million cut the district took because of their willful violation of state law in force masking children. In other words, the increase would have been $48 million. They ain't broke, and don't let them fool you. Here's the real story. Parents are fleeing their schools. In 2017, 9% of Brevard Public School students attended public charter schools, 5,896 students. The education politicians have to give the funding for those students, those charter schools, as they should. Every year since, the percentage going to charter schools has gone up 1%. The next year projected to be 10,189 students, almost double. Over that same period of time, the government schools have lost enrollment from a high of 66,570 in 2017 to 65,160 projected for next year. In fact, there are projected to be fewer students attending a government school next year than currently do, 350 less. Despite having a 0.5% loss in students, they still will get a 4.6% increase over this year, or $23 million. To be clear, public charter schools are public schools. This is completely separate from private schools, voucher schools. The bottom line is this. Brevard Public Schools will be getting record funding, over $600 million for the first time ever, a 7.5% increase over last year. But because parents are abandoning their government schools at increasing rates, only $23 million of that will go to government schools. The remaining $19 million will go to the public charters. Don't let these politicians claim that they are broke. The bottom line is they are running from a failing system. Don't take my word for it. Look at the decision of 4,300 families to leave their government-run school for a charter. So as you can clearly see in the words of Randy Fine, there are many parents that are electing to move their kids from government schools to charter schools. And so once again, please don't raise our taxes. And once again, I'm against the millage. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is going to conclude our public comments on agenda items. All of you signed up for non-agenda speaking will be heard at the end of the meeting, though. We thank you for your willingness to address the board. And that will move us into the consent agenda. Dr. Mullins?
Madam Chair, if I may, take just a moment to acknowledge what may not be understood by our community. It's been suggested that the district go through a financial audit, when in fact we go through a financial audit every year by a third-party auditing firm called Moore Stephens Lovelace. In fact, they just met with the audit committee at our last meeting and reported out on the findings of that audit. That's done every year. In addition, we have an audit committee that meets at least quarterly that oversees the financial financial stability of the district and all of our efforts. We are required to have an auditor do cycle audits throughout the district, and that is done by RSM McGladrey, and they do regular cycle audits through different departments and report those findings to the audit committee as well as to the board. And in addition, the state, the Auditor General, comes to the district at least every 3 years and does a comprehensive audit, in which case I believe, Ms. Lisinski, we just got the word that they are coming this coming fiscal year to do their regular 3-year cycle audit. So I don't want there to be any suggestion to our community that this organization has ever avoided or not embraced an auditing and accountability process, not the least of which we made the decision as a school district several years ago to put in place the Independent Citizens Oversight Committee that has overseen every expenditure related to the sales surtax. That initiative has been audited separately by a third party twice every year since its inception, and we have received exemplary, essentially no finding audit results every year. So I will never shy away from any suggestion of accountability, either fiscally or in any other aspect of this organization, but I would offer to this community, we are audited without question, not only annually, but periodically throughout the school year by all third-party individuals, including the state. So I welcome anyone in our community to dig into our budget and suggest where resources are available outside of the nearly $38 million that we have eliminated from the operating budget to meet growing expenses, costs, and have some resources available for compensation, and suggest where there are dollars to take away from our students or existing employees that could be used for what has been proposed in the resolution for increased millage. Second, I would suggest that this board is not making a decision to raise taxes. This board is simply going out to our community, if the resolution is passed, to give them the decision and the opportunity and the choice to determine if this is an opportunity to ensure the resources be used in the way that they've been presented. So it is a community decision. So I couldn't let words be spoken and be left out there hanging without providing some very clear and explicit evidence of what the case is. And finally, I will close with, I encourage everyone who has heard this board meeting so far, go to our budget workshop of March 22nd and see explicitly where the state has, in fact, potentially, there is still no state budget for next year. The budget has not been given to the governor's office, at least according to my last sources, middle of last week, from the legislature. I have been told that it will not be sent to the governor's office for approval at least until after special session after the Easter holidays. So we don't have a finalized budget from the state. What has been proposed by the legislature does potentially increase Brevard Public Schools revenue by $42 million. But that does not reflect $38.5 million of state mandate expenditures. And if you look at the presentation, it is very clearly and explicitly laid out that there remains approximately $3.6 million of uncommitted revenue to address inflation, to address exorbitant rising healthcare costs for our employees, even before we consider any cost of living increase for our employees. So I would refuse to allow a misrepresentation of data and information to not be provided clarification to our community, because it is a big decision. There's no doubt about it. As a property owner in Brevard County that has helped raise my children for nearly 30 years, it is an absolutely big decision. but it is a community decision. And I welcome anyone from our community to take a look at our budget and take a look at what we have had to do to meet our growing expenses, even before we all face the inflationary realities of what is facing us as an organization. So, Madam Chair, I appreciate the opportunity to provide that clarification.
And I thank you for providing it, Dr. Mullins. I was going to address some of those things in board discussion toward the end, but I am appreciative of you addressing it now. And so since you addressed a couple of things, I will also just take a moment to address the Title IX questions that were raised, because I think that is significant as well.
Ms. Muffin, may I just ask a follow-up to the millage?
Sure.
Before you move on.
Yeah.
Dr. Mullins, I think it's important for the public to be aware, but if this millage is approved by voters, does that funding also get distributed to charter schools as well?
Yes, it does. Legislatively required.
Thank you.
So the questions about our Title IX choices which came up, first of all, at any time, you all can reach out to us prior to a meeting to ask questions about those things, but I don't anticipate that there would be support to push an item just because someone didn't know what it was about. But there were two aspects to that. So one was posting of a Title IX director, and one was a contract for Title IX guidance in the interim. And Mr. Gibbs, do you want me to address it, or I saw you pulling your mic. Do you want to?
I anticipated you would kick it to me, but it's fine. By federal law, we're required to have a Title IX coordinator at the district level and at every school. It was held by one of our directors who retired last year, I believe, and it was picked up by Assistant General Counsel Valerie Londano. And then when she resigned, there was nobody left in the district to pick it up. One of our other assistant superintendents has valiantly picked it up, but it is a full-time job on its own. So she was trying to do that job on top of her regular job. So we have to go out for emergency Title IX coordinator services for the district level until the new coordinator position can be filled. That's why we have the contract for services on Title IX, and we have to have a coordinator at the district level pursuant to federal law. The state also put out I believe, a memorandum or memo reminding all districts that you have to have the Title IX coordinator position at the district level. It has to be on your website, and you have to name who that individual is. So that is just to comply with federal law.
And just one more quick question for you, Mr. Gibbs. Failure to comply with Title IX, what are the consequences of that?
You can be sued with no limitations, whereas we have sovereign immunity for a lot of state cases. Under federal law, you can be hit with no sovereign immunity protection. So if you get hit with a $5 million verdict, you have to pay $5 million. So it's a high stakes game.
So making sure that we are actually following Title IX requirements is pretty significant.
It's deemed one of the highest or fastest growing litigation areas in the legal industry.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Mullins, I think we are moving into consent agenda.
Madam Chair, members of the board, there are 21 agenda items under this category.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. Does any board member wish to pull any item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Move to approve.
Moved by Ms. McDougall, and who was the second? Seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? Mr. Susan, did you have a discussion item on?
Yeah, I had some members from the Melbourne High School robotics team reach out. And there was a couple of things that I'd like to discuss with you guys, and apologize about not sending you an email ahead of time, but it's just something that just came up today. One of the things that when some of our groups in athletics, if a football team or a baseball team or a lacrosse team goes into the state playoffs, their coaches are given an extra stipend. So they have, it's called like playoff stipend. And one of the issues that we have is, so we have prior precedent in the past also, that when organizations who are trying to represent our school district are trying to get to the next level, we have helped them with funding, right? Going to a world competition for robotics requires fundraising. And part of the issue that we have is we should be able to send our best. One of the problems that we have is that we have Melbourne High School's robotics team is going to World. They're in the process of trying to raise tens of thousands of dollars in like a 2-week period. And in the past, I remember, because I want to tell you a story. When I was a teacher in 2011, I won an award called the Jefferson Awards for Public Service. It was literally the first time our school district had ever nationally won or been invited to the national. And within 6 weeks, I was supposed to come up with $16,000 for my kids. And I came before this board and asked, I said, there is no way in God's green earth that I can raise $16,000 in O'Galley. I could have a car wash every day for the next 6 weeks, and I would not be able to do it. Superintendent Bingley at the time moved to take Pepsi funds that they had from the district and pay for the students, for us to go to the Jefferson Awards, and we ended up taking 4th in the nation. We were out of the top 50 schools, we were the only public school. So I remember past precedents. There's been times when this board has raised and helped fund that. What I would like to put towards this board is that our team's going international. And I would like to just kind of throw it out there that we ask Dr. Mullins to get with the team and see if there's some funding that we may be able to help to get them across the finish line so that they can go win the damn thing. Because in my mind, I'm sitting back and I'm looking at it, and I don't want them to go there and not have a part or be tired or whatever it is because they want to get there. All those other school districts are going to have kids that are there that are fully funded and ready to go. And I don't want ours limping in there. So with past precedent, things that I've asked, I'm going to open it up for discussion. Gentleman's in the crowd. You got to look at him face to face, and if you don't approve it. And just want to throw it out there, you guys. It's our kids. They're doing something spectacular. That's all.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dr. Mullins, for not giving you the heads up.
Well, no, that's okay. I've been touching base with Dr. Sullivan while we've been talking. She is working with Team Melbourne and their team. We do help supplement and offset some of the costs, particularly through some Title IV funding. So they're working together to make sure that we don't have any gaps, and they don't need to be distracted from getting ready for the competition, because we do want them to come home with that world title. So I think we echo your sentiments. I think we're on it. I don't have any concerns at this point that we're going to get Team Mel High where they need to be to bring home that world championship trophy, Coach. No pressure, brother.
You want to give us a figure right now so we can just make sure it gets approved?
Write a check, Mr.
No, not that.
Your insurance company sponsor?
No, Space Coast Daily Park.
Oh, yeah. Should have known that was coming.
Mr. Souza will make sure they're covered.
You're awesome. Thank you.
All right, any additional discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. We are 2 hours in. Anyone need a break, or you want to push through? All right, I have a request for a 5-minute restroom break. So we will recess briefly, and we'll be back. right, we are officially back in session. Dr. Mullins, would you please let us know about the item under the action portion of tonight's agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. First item is F34, procurement solicitations.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins.
Next item is F35, department school-initiated agreements.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins.
And the last item is F36, ESSER fund under the ARP Act, updated instructional continuity plans.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. We will now move on to the information agenda, which includes items for board review and may be brought back for action at a subsequent meeting. No action will be taken on these items tonight. Dr. Mullins?
There are 2 items under the information category.
Does any board member wish to discuss either of the information items?
Just really briefly.
Ms. Campbell?
First of all, let me go ahead and get the first one out of the way. It's the Cigna. I just want to thank Dr. Thetti and Ms. Scipio and Lockton for working really hard on getting a better contract. Thank you. Looking over Dr. Thetti. A better contract with Cigna, which, saves us money that we can put into other things. Just on the topic of the millage, first of all, thank you, Dr. Mullins, for sharing about the audits, because I have had the same thought. I think there's a few that you left out, because I know that whenever we have a construction project, we have the audits done of the larger projects. I can't remember the audit company that does that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're all going to draw the same blank. But that one is done. And also, I just wanted to share that all of those are available, because every time an audit is done, it comes to the board for approval. And so the budget one is obviously part of our big budget, which is done in the fall. And so everybody can have access to those if you will look into the old board meetings. I would just also make this point that if it should pass from us and in the community, the charter schools would also get that funding. And so I think we're going there with your question. And I would encourage people to reach out to their local charter school and ask them if they would like or need additional funding. That is all I had on this.
Ms. Campbell, anyone else wish to discuss either of the information items? Okay. Then that is going to move us into board member reports. Anybody have anything on those? I think, Ms. Campbell, you have a couple things from our Central Florida School Board Coalition.
I did. So Monday, that was yesterday, was our Central Florida School Boards Coalition meeting in the morning, and Jacob Oliva from the Department of Education came on to answer just a few questions about legislation and about updates with progress monitoring and for the board members, for the Central Florida School Board members and superintendents who are part of that. He shared just some I know we've seen our own declines because of COVID in our performance in math and English language arts, but he just shared kind of statewide, kind of the bad news first. There was across the state a 3% drop in reading English language arts scores from pre-pandemic to the numbers that we got last year. On the positive side, we had more than 94% of students across the state take the FSA, including, especially since that was a pretty good number considering how many were doing some kind of e-learning or virtual option. But that 3% drop in English language arts pales in comparison to the 10% drop across the state that we saw in math numbers. And so I'm just kudos to our leading and learning department, because I know they're already working on this, but he addressed with all of us, for that second and third grade remediation, that rather than looking at, trying to get students to repeat a whole year's worth of curriculum, just be laser focused and really work on those standards that they're missing. And I know that our team is already on that. They're all over that and going to do a great job. There were questions about testing, and with the new legislation, what is that going to look like? And we don't, he had to give that. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but some things that he shared were that looks like the end of course exams, like we have for Algebra 1 and Civics, those will remain. They may change as the standards change, because, we have new math standards and new textbook adoption that we'll be doing that we are in the middle of, right, getting ready for next year. but the test may change, but how we use it will remain the same. As far as ELA and math, the new statute allows for the third progress monitoring to count for the final assessment, but they don't still know exactly what that's going to look like. But there is probably what will happen this coming school year is that when we get the new testing in place, that they will probably have a pause on school grades, because that first year will then be the baseline. I think they did the same thing the first year that the FSA came out, kind of had a pause in school grades because we have to set up that baseline for the new testing, and then everything will be after that, because part of the school grades is how much have you improved from the previous year, and we have new standards and new tests. And so we'll just something to look forward to in the coming year. He did say that it would be a local decision level for the near future, as to do we stop our own current progress monitoring, for example, elementary school, iReady, because we know what that data is, because they didn't choose iReady. It's going to be something else. Do we double up? It's going to be a tough decision, but it looks like that's going to be a local decision, what we're going to do as far as progress monitoring. And I know Dr. Mullen's team will bring us a recommendation. Just one other thing. This is something that or two other things actually. One is on our legislative agenda since I've been on the board, we have had the request, or including our legislative agenda, to reduce the number of critical incident drills that we have, because legislation said that we had to have the same number of critical incident drills as we have other types of drills like fire drills. And so because we have to have a fire drill every month, we had to do the other kind, and it's a lot of time spent, and I think sometimes we lose the edge of the urgency. And so the law now says that what it says is there's no less than once per year, but that it's taking it out of legislation and putting it in rulemaking for the State Board of Education. They meet more frequently, and so they can make some adjustments. So they will be we don't know exactly what the number is. It just has to be at least once a year. I doubt seriously it's only going to be once a year. But I think that's a win for us, because we have been asking for it, and evidently we weren't the only ones for the last couple of years. And so I think that will be a good move, because then we can stop having that constant interruption. And I know you guys get the text messages, how many drills are going just it seems like every other week we're having 50 drill notifications in our text. The Office of Safe Schools is also going to create or model reunification plans if school districts don't have one. And again, kudos to Brevard for already having those things in place. And then final thing is November 7th has been declared with new legislation the Victims of Communism Day. And so all students across the state of Florida who are studying civics or history or whatever their social studies topic will be learning about the victims of communism around the world. They said unless you take the class, it's only in the spring, and then they'll have a separate day for them. But it's officially November the 7th in the state of Florida.
Thank you for that update, Ms. Campbell. And on the critical incident drills, the other thing that, and I think you explained it, but you hadn't heard the conversation, I'm not sure that the audience would get it, is that the state board is now going to go into rulemaking on the required number of all of our other drills as well.
Right.
So the removing, like right now we have to do a fire drill every single month. That is going to be kicked over to the state board to establish rulemaking on that as well. So we could potentially see a decrease in not only critical incident drills, but also our fire drills.
Keep studying sharp,
Yeah.
And it's one more time away from important class.
Thank you for that. Well, anyone else? Any other board members have any? Dr. Mullins, anything you have to add? All right. Then we are going to move into our remaining speakers who signed up to comment on non-agenda items. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. We have a clock in front of me to help you keep track of your time. When your time is over, you'll be asked to stop and allow the next speaker his or her turn. We'll hear from the speakers in the order in which they signed up, including those who may be waiting outside, but I don't think we have anybody outside this evening. As stated earlier, reasonable decorum is expected at all times, and your statement should be directed to the board chair. Should audience participation interfere with speakers being heard or hearing me, I will be forced to clear the room. When I call your name, please line up along the east wall of the boardroom to facilitate the smooth transition of speakers. Our first 3 speakers are going to be Kim Huff, Jabari Hosey, and Connie Rook. Kim, whenever you are ready.
Good evening. I have read the current and proposed policy for reviewing non-state adopted materials. It is being portrayed that the district has forwarded the book reports of one political group to the media specialists in Brevard schools. That these reviews are being used to pull books off shelves depending on the determination of individuals at each school where they are available, and not being informally or formally reviewed using current or proposed policy. Policies are in place to prevent this type of censorship, whether that material is inappropriate or against Florida statute. These books need to be reviewed and evaluated. Brevard Public Schools are not reviewing or evaluating these books using the state or policy in place, the statute or the policy in place. Please stop allowing one political group to intimidate, threaten, and bypass those policies.
Thanks, Kim. Jabari?
Good evening, Jabari Hosey. I would like to address the board on the books that have been removed from the schools currently. My understanding is that there's an informal review by committee at the school level and a formal review at the district level. However, my understanding is not currently taking place. It's given to the school principal and/or media specialist who has been given the authority to remove these books based on complaints or threats or pressure from small parental groups and their complaints. I think we need to stop this and use the policy that's in place. This can lead to some equality issues. Some students have access to certain educational material, others do not. I would hope that we have a future policy where we can review these books and we can allow this to be something that would be district-wide. I do support that. Again, it's not about the interpretation of the content being inappropriate, but it's just about following the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Jabari. As Connie's approaching, our next three speakers will be Richard LeBlanc, Lynn Hawkins, and Sarah Mursky. If you all would line up on the east wall, please. Connie, whenever you're ready.
Hi, good evening. I have tremendous respect for our librarians. They are a crucial profession in our schools. It takes about 6 years of full-time study to become a librarian. You need a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in library and information science. We all have to know that the selection of books is not something that they take lightly given the limited space and funding in our schools. Librarians consider a host of factors and review recommendations to include the American Library Association, the Florida Sunshine State Readers' Votes of Librarians statewide, and the American Association of School Librarians. There's a lot of brain power and consideration that goes into picking books. We respect those professionals, and I hope that you do too. When it comes to removing books from school, I do not want my children's education whitewashed by a few loud but narrow-minded minds that do not represent me, and they do not represent the majority of Brevard County. Thank you.
Thanks, Connie. Richard?
Superintendent, board, good evening. My name is Rick LeBlanc. I live in Rockledge. And real quickly, Florida Statute 847.001 and 847.012 clearly state that materials in whatever form they exist that are harmful to minors, as in nudity, sexual conduct, or sexual excitement, are not to be knowingly distributed to minors. I'm asking the school board and superintendent to direct the appropriate district, school-based, and all other personnel to immediately stop purchasing or otherwise acquiring in any manner and in any materials, if you will, library books, curriculum, and all other materials, for example, that fall under the direction of Florida Statute 847, so that the minors of all ages in our schools will be kept safe, which is one of the things we promised them on day one, and not harmed. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank
you,
you,
whom
Rick.
should I give copies of this?
Lynn Hawkins?
Good evening. Over the past year that I have been attending or watching these meetings, I have witnessed and experienced the following. A school board member calling parents domestic terrorists when simply speaking out against her or the agenda she is pushing on our children. The same member has refused to sign the Brevard County Working Guidelines, which has been signed by all of the school board members and the superintendent. Another board member approached a group of parents after a meeting one night and said that they were on a witch hunt simply because they had gone through the 1,300-page agenda and found some items that they were concerned with and wanted further explanation on. Our chairperson starts every meeting threatening the audience with fines and/or jail time if we don't follow her rules to the T. She also went on national TV and said how she is blessed to be serving a group of 9,000 people, which obviously does not include the students and parents of this community. So I guess we truly know who she feels she works for. The school district has a loan that totals more than $510 million when it is all paid back with interest, and now they want to raise our millage taxes. I say it is time for a forensic audit before you
Lynn.
get one more dime from the taxpayers.
Sarah Mursky. And now Sarah's approaching. Our next three speakers will be Katie Delaney, Judy Stevens, and Aaron Dunn.
Good evening. I want to thank the board for the clarification for the Title IX contract and coordinator position. I wanted to clarify that I request a forensic audit, not a financial audit. But I am glad this board is so open to an audit and welcome questions. I still had questions from previous contracts about financing and bids and where all those things coming from, and the agenda just doesn't cover it. And I've asked board members to follow up with me after school board meetings. No one's followed up with me. I still vote no on a millage tax increase. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Sarah. Katie?
Board members, and superintendent, I respect what you had to say about the millage, but most of us in Brevard County do not make around $300,000 a year. So our property taxes going up is a pretty big deal. Now I'd like to shift to board policy 5630.01. How do these changes protect our special needs kids? There are over 2 pages that have been crossed out. The current board policy has more specific protections in regards to requiring a medical physician's recommendation, parental consent, and contraindications of IEPs. Those safeguards seem very important. Who will be making the decisions on restraining these children? Will the change?
Ms. Stevens? Of course they do, Ms. Delaney. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. With the passage of House Bill 1557 and what?
Microphone, go ahead.
Oh, with the passage of House Bill 1557 and reviewing the LGBTQ+ district guidelines, where once it becomes law, I believe in July, several of the guidelines don't kind of fit with the bill. Plus, when you look at the guidelines, they're really not tailored for, as the bill is, for the younger children. And I'd like to suggest that these be reviewed, and also perhaps guidelines for younger, say, elementary school children and what could happen there versus high school, because there's kind of a world of difference until you get to that middle ground when they are really beginning to figure out about gender. But I do think everything needs to be reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Aaron Dunn, and then our last speaker after Aaron is going to be Crystal Kay.
Thank you. I'm here to speak on Board Policy 2521, the Instructional Materials Program. I appreciate the work that the school board has done to work towards equity and equality in our district in many different ways over the last couple years. I would ask you to please consider that if removing books from certain schools and keeping them in other schools is equitable to all of the students in our district. I think that's something important to consider. I've taught in Brevard Public Schools for 11 years, and I reached out to 3 of my friends who are current media specialists in our district and asked them how things are going with this current policy. And one of the things that they said to me was that they would appreciate having a district list of what is legally appropriate and inappropriate so that they don't have to worry about making decisions per book. They would appreciate that from the current media specialists. And finally, please remember that the experts on this program work within Brevard Public Schools. Please ensure that employees are following current policies before removing books from our libraries. And a shout out to our media specialists who do this hard work every day without media assistance. Thanks.
Thank you, Erin. Crystal.
Good evening again. 3 years ago at New Hope Lutheran in Melbourne, a child named Jordan, a Hispanic child, was assaulted by Trey, a black child. Jordan's mom was encouraged by administration to move Jordan to a different school with his IEP. Administration explained that they couldn't report the assault due to the risk ratio numbers of Brevard Public Schools. Please stop race-based discipline in Brevard Public Schools. In the words of Peter Kirsanau, a member of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, if the school district is in fact considering a student's race in the imposition of discipline, even if it's only one factor among many, it would be blatantly unlawful. It would also be racist, despicable, counterproductive, and galactically stupid. It would be similar to the school discipline guidance issued by the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights during the Obama administration. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment for this evening. Your willingness to speak to the board is appreciated. Any board member have anything prior to gaveling us out?
I do. I have a lot in the community. I think it's important to clarify. So, Mr. Gibbs, our current LGBTQ administrative guidelines, as it stands right now, do those guidelines follow federal and state law? Is that what?
Yes.
Anyone else? All right. Hearing no further business, we are adjourned.